Welcome back, everybody, to another episode on Bloomfield, Canada. So it is now the month of May. There wasn't anything that really showed up in the second day in April, but as soon as May came around, there were some contracts to work on. So I have actually, what's the best way to get there? Viewport here. So you just saw me send a plowing contract worker go into a field. You can see a really, really big harvester working on that field right in front of us. There were 3 barley contracts for harvesting. So I borrowed the equipment on the biggest one. Oh, it's ready already. And one just happened to be right across from the store, so 2 of them are going to the grain mill. Let me check just to double check. So yeah, 2 of them are going to the grain mill, including the one we're working on right now. And sorry, I always forget the details. So yeah, we leased it from 58. And this field 7 will be going to Johnson's Farmers Market. I might, since I'm very close to there, I might just send it to there first. That's the smallest of the 3 fields. You can see at the top of the map there. Not too big of a field compared to these other 2. But either way, I mean, the grain mill's down here anyways, so maybe I won't do that. I just figured I have to transport it to both anyways, and the farmer's market's the least one, so yeah, actually, I'm coming back on that again. I'm going to transport to the farmer's market first, and then once I'm done harvesting field 47, I think I'm going to take the harvester all the way up to 7, finish that to get it out of the way, since I think it'll take a very long time to harvest 58, which is probably why they give us such a big harvester. I mean, look at the size of that header. Is this just gigantic? It filled up just from not even 2 passes on this field. It is barley, so I guess that kind of makes sense. Barley gives you one of the highest yields of the grain crops. No, not including potatoes and sugar beets, essentially. It gives you the highest yield. So it's not surprising that it fills up pretty quick, but alright. Let's get on, start the engine, get this guy going on a plowing contract. I was kind of surprised to see a plowing contract in May. Sometimes or I guess we'll have to see when we get to the field, but sometimes, oh, sorry dear, I didn't see you there. Sometimes the contracts are weird in that they have you plow a field that has like ready to harvest crops on it. I didn't check to see if this one had any crops on it prior to now, but since it is a new month, you can see our grass now is in the next stage. And actually, let me check. I think it should be ready to harvest. According to the map, yes. So it is harvestable, I should say. It's in the second stage. You can see down there in the bottom it says ready to harvest as well. But I'm going to wait one more month to get that extra month of growth. Get the best out of the field. The expected yield is 117 out of 125. Even with a little bit of lower pH value. So I think that is definitely not bad for the first harvest on our first big field. So I will take that for sure. Let's see. Cut through this field. Breaking the rules that I said I wasn't going to try not to do on the first episode. Oh, now I have to get through here. Yeah, so see, this is a barley field that just for some reason withered. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know why that happens. Because usually you had to plow after, things like corn and sugar beets and stuff like that, and potatoes. But you don't normally have to plow after the typical grain crops. So it's just weird that the game would put this to wither. So you have to plow it so quickly. Oh well, I mean, still got a contract from it. Let me check to make sure there's a fertilizing. Field 11. It's the one I just did at the end of last episode. The reason he's over here, um, you see on the right side of the map, field number 38. That was the only contract that popped up on April 2nd. So I went over there and did that. Kind of fast forward through most of the day, and nothing really else popped up except for those weeding contracts. So I obviously skipped ahead to May 1. So that's why he was over there. I'm gonna just drive this up. Actually, I think I'm gonna send him. So I have a feeling our harvester's waiting for us. Get there. Yep. Yep. This is quite the beast of a tractor as well. I'm not sure if that must be like a customized tractor with the extra wheels on it. I don't think it naturally comes like that. Is it the 8R? Yeah, I think it was the 8R. Just because I'm curious. Wasn't narrow. Yeah, this is what we're using. It's a pretty beefy tractor. Yeah, 8R. Alright, I'm just gonna take this load over just to see how much it gives the farmer's market. I am gonna have to be careful. I don't want to just blindly empty into the farmer's market since, this field's gonna provide more than we need for field 7. So I want to make sure to stop it as quickly as possible after it's done. That way, I don't sell it all and end up not having enough for the rest of the contract. So to be a little careful. This should not be enough though. I don't think this will finish it. I'll be surprised. Wow, that was a lot closer than I thought it'd be. 91%. Not even barely a little more than half a load. These contracts are going to make some pretty good money too. I mean, the small field 7's not going to make too much money, but the other two in 10 grand, 17 grand, that's pretty good for a harvesting contract. That is not either potatoes or sugar beet. I still don't think I'm going to do either of those two contracts just because of the time they take on here. I don't think I'm going to come back on that. I think I did mention one of the more difficult crops that I am going to try is sugarcane. As I can show you now, I have a mod. Let's see if I can find it. Is it sugarcane? No, I think it's forage harvester. All the way on the right. Yeah. So I have this mod for the Crone forage harvesters. You can get one that does sugarcane. at a width of 9 meters. So that should substantially increase the amount of rows of sugarcane we can harvest at one time, which I get it's a little cheaty, but I have done sugarcane the normal way, and for anyone who has tried, you can understand why I'm going that route. It is just, it's very tedious to have to go one row at a time. All right, I think I'm going to try to drop this off now. Actually, before that, that way I don't have to come back later and get this. I'm going to clean this up, give ourselves a little bit of a headland, just because I want to try to harvest as much as possible. Get the most money out of it. This field, this harvester is actually kind of making quick work at this field. I mean, it's not a small field by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it is a fairly large field, even for this map. It's a pretty good in size. It's a little bit thicker than the other maps. It doesn't look too big, but yeah, it's still a pretty good field. This map just has a lot of really big fields. All right, I could just get them started over here. The worker going. I will do this in a second. I'm just going to move him out of the way so he's not blocking traffic. I'm going to go turn this into the farmer's market and hope it's enough. I mean, if 91%, I have 20, it should be enough. I have 20%, 60% was 90% of the field, so it should definitely be enough. Keep my hand on the trigger to stop. Yep, so a little bit sold, but not too bad. Might as well go drop this off at the grain mill. That way we have an empty trailer. %6 for 47. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's finishing 47 first, which means we can collect on the, if we do field 7 after this, we can collect on the first 2 contracts without getting rid of the equipment, which I like to do. I don't like to keep the contracts completed for too long, just because if I do have to close out of the game, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, there's a bug that seems to happen most of the time to me, where if you close out of the game with a completed contract, whether or not, I think it's whether or not you have the equipment leased out for it, it won't complete the contract for you, it'll just take it away. And obviously that is not ideal, given the fact that we, trying to make money. So yeah, when I'm playing, I try to not, quit the game with completed contracts for that reason. Actually, I'm going to do a headland over here too, just because I feel like those poles will give it some issue. There's already a patch up ahead that it missed on one of the last runs. I mean, for our future farm, a harvester this big is definitely not out of the question. We won't need the typical harvester for too much, just because with cows, I mean, most of the work is grass work. Um, but you will need something that produces straw, such as barley. So you will need to obviously have a harvester for that. So we will need at least a harvester. I don't know if it'll be worth getting this really big one or not, but we'll have to see. I think in terms of a straw producing crop, I mean, I did mention that I do have a mod on here to add straw to a few other crops, so I could just kind of keep it changing, just to kind of keep it interesting. And I think whatever crops I do end up growing, I'll probably just sell as is for profit. I'm not going to worry about making sure every crop goes through a production chain, just because, you know, I kind of want to stick to the plan for the series and not deviate too much from that. So if it's not really immediately made for cows, I'm probably not going to be buying any extra production chains. So any crops that I get are just sell off in the store for profit. All right, let's go and do this. Make sure it's wide. Finish this contract up real quick. See if I can get most of it in one pass. Looks like I'm probably going to have to come back and do a little bit of that strip. Looks like this might be the last fertilizing contract. Well, I guess if we're... Yeah, everything's fertilized except for obviously the ones that we're going to be harvesting. Which one of them's right in front of us? That's the small field. Don't think the contract finished. I wasn't paying attention enough. Oh, look, another one. Let's take it. Oh, what did I... Wow, that was bad timing. The contract finished right as I was clicking to pick up this contract. Where is field 29? Oh, it's all the way in the corner. I'm not going to take that. I don't think that's worth it. It's $500, and I have to drive the equipment all the way over there, and well, I don't think that's worth the hassle. I was going to check to see if what's ready to harvest. So 24, that's barley. That's our field. And field 5 is also barley. So looking for field 5 and field 24 to potentially come up as some more contracts. Kind of keep this guy harvesting. Go pick up the... Maybe I'll wait till he turns around and then drive alongside him. Alright, well, field 47 is finished. I have harvested it all. While I was finishing those, field 24 and 5, I believe. Both those two that I found were ready to harvest and were barley. They came up on the contract, so I accepted both. I think it's going to screw up my plan in terms of turning contracts in early, because field 24 is actually like 98% delivered already, even though I haven't harvested it. So, but that'll be okay. I think hopefully 58 is still kind of the last one. That way I can kind of collect some of the money kind of as we go. I did look in the used store, and there wasn't really too much. I'm not really sure which kind of. I'm not really going to spend any money on trailers yet. Plus, that one's a little too small. The cedar is definitely too small. So there's really nothing in there that I think will really benefit us. So with this gigantic header from this, I didn't borrow any more equipment, so I'm just going to use this same harvester for everything. With it being so large, it should make pretty quick work of these smaller fields. So, of course, it looks like this small section here is still going to be 2 passes. All right, get you going. Transport this guy over. I'm not going to worry about dropping off that 8,000 that I have in here. I'm going to go drive it up and wait till it's full to bring it back down. I think after we finish these first few contracts, we could probably be okay to skip ahead to May 2, even if the big field isn't done yet, just because it'll still be May, still be able to harvest. Even if we go to June, it'll still be ready to harvest as well. So, because you can harvest barley in June still. And actually, I forget how. Oh, you can harvest it all the way to July. So yeah, we should be good for a few months. If we don't finish these contracts, then there's nothing else popping back up. We can still go ahead and skip ahead with the months, just to kind of keep it moving. There's no sense in if there's only one contract waiting, and it's not going to make a difference if we skip ahead to the next month. I think I'm just going to try to keep the months moving along. And once we get to June, actually, it'll be an exciting month too, because we'll be able to harvest grass again in both fields. So that will be definitely exciting. See how many bales that big field gives us. Alright, it's just about, that's pretty bumpy there. Kind of perfect timing, because I want to take over and make a headland, because he already missed some. Just to give the AI a little bit more room to turn around. I think one should probably be okay. I'm going to go over to the other far side and then go down the edge, do a headland on that side as well, and then kind of just let him go back and forth. We may actually fill up before I get back to the tractor, to the trailer. I guess we'll see. So I've been trying to think ahead a little bit about once we have the land with all the with the house and all that, cow pen and stuff like that. I've been trying to think about what our next big purchase should be after that, because I want to make sure I'm set up and ready to go for cows before I actually buy any. So I think the biggest two things that I need is some way to make TMR, and um, another small purchase would be to get a tedder, because we currently don't have a tedder. We need to have some hay. I have talked about getting one of the, those big TMR mixers that kind of suck up loose material from the ground. I think I'm not going to start with that, at least. That might be further down the road once we kind of get into corn silage and stuff like that. Because I do plan to do corn silage at some point too. Once we kind of get away from the grass. So the baler that we got is probably only going to be a temporary buy, since we won't need it for silage in the future. But for now, I don't know if you can. I think you should be able to do hay. Oh, it's full. You should be able to do hay with that baler. I hope so, at least. So I need to get some sort of like a telehandler or something to pick up the bales and place them in the TMR mixer. So I can kind of show you what I'm thinking. So these are the ones that I want to get eventually. They kind of vacuum up loose material from the ground and create the TMR in the back. So that'll be eventually, but for now, I think I'm gonna have to get animals. One of these smaller ones. Yeah, I don't think I have. Yeah, one of these first three. Probably stick with the Silo King. I think that's a decent size. 22 cubic meters should be plenty. So then I have to get probably some sort of a cheap telehandler, I'm thinking. Front loaders are, I don't know. I don't think a front loader will be what I want. I think I'll just get like a telehandler, maybe somewhere around one of these two, a little less than 100,000 or something like that. Just to pick up the bales and put them in and start that way, and kind of build up from there. And then I might even go forward and get a dairy, just to make a little bit of money off the cows, right away. More than just kind of selling the milk and stuff like that. So yeah, I think once I get the big field, the next big purchase will be the TMR mixer and the telehandlers, and then obviously, like I mentioned, our need some way to make hay, so like a tedder as well. But I think the tedders are pretty cheap compared to the other two, so hopefully this grass silage that we're making on our big field will be substantial enough to make some strides on those two things. Once I get the TMR mixer, I could probably get the cows, just so they can start aging. And unfortunately, they don't take bales. You have to break them up. So I'll have to use the TMR mixer for the straw as well. So I might need to buy another field as well. So yeah, definitely some things to think about. But when we do get to that point, I'll make sure to be careful and not jump ahead to start buying some cows before we have any ability to feed them. So I don't think there's any no fertilizing contracts. So I'm just going to drive this back. Actually, I'm going to just have a worker drive it back. Just put them in the grass field. Target unreachable. People are beeping their horns. Okay. Calm down. Alright, so this guy's about half done. This guy's going good. Gonna pull this up to be ready. This should be done in no time compared to some of the bigger fields, so. Alright, I think we are just about at time, so yeah, in between episodes, I think I'm going to get pretty far along with these contracts. Maybe bring you back in when we're moving to that big contract and maybe skipping ahead some months and stuff. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and I hope I see you again next time. Have a good one.